my name is Samantha, and my driving question is, what is the history of baton twirling? The reason this interested me is because I twirl. First, I'm going to be doing some trivia over here, so you feel free to answer and raise your hand. Evolution of baton twirling. When did twirling start? Would anybody like to guess? Keaton.
1800s?
I'm only going to be taking one answer for time's sake. It was first used in the military in World War II, so it was used throughout it started up throughout the 40s, 50s, and 60s. A Tasmarichen means a dance Mary or Majorette in German. What are most batons made of? Bailey.
Aluminum.
Correct. Are batons hollow or solid? Carson.
Hollow.
Correct. More. April 10th is National Baton Twirling Day. Tips for baton twirling can be different designs like stars, tulips, or a normal round tip. The bigger tip is called the ball, and the other end is just called the tip. The consistency of a tip is that of a tire. You can twirl up to 4 batons, but there isn't a very wide variety of tricks with 4 batons. Majorettes are often accompanied with marching bands and twirl with flags, rifles, knives, fire knives, batons, and fire batons. You can do a toss with a flip,
Hello, my name is Benji, and today I'm going to show some stuff about game development from the past to the present. The first video games weren't commercial games. They were made in the 1960s and weren't for the public. In the 1970s, though, the first commercial games were released with Pong and the very first game console, the Magnavox Odyssey. Then, in 1972, the Atari was made by Atari. Currently, Unity and Unreal Engine are competing for VR games. Some famous games such as Fortnite and PUBG are made in Unreal Engine. Some famous video game company rivalries include Nintendo and Sony, Microsoft and Sony, and Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Nintendo, Rockstar Games, and Konami. There's also some free game engines you can download, but you need an account on their website. These include Unity and Unreal Engine. Here's a video of someone using Unity to make a game similar to Super Hexagon.
And create a 2D sprite, and for the sprite here I'm going to select the knob. I'm also going to reset the transform and set the scale to something like 3.8 by 3.8. I'm also going to set the color to black and make it transparent, and this is just going to mark the center of our screen. Let's then go to the object sprite and create all players. So let's rename this to player. Again, reset the transform on this, and for the sprite, let's also just choose the knob here. We are
Using camera for a horror game on Unreal Engine.
What's up guys, Mr. Fantasticus here, bringing you another tutorial in our horror games.
I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Hi, my name is Mason, and I did my
presentation over what is the history of Major League Baseball. What interests me in this topic is I play baseball and I love the sport, and it involves fairness, and you have to love the game because some people don't. The founders of Major League Baseball was the National Association of Baseball Players. On April 22nd, 1876, the first official game of Major League Baseball took place. Some of the best players to ever play baseball were Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and Ted Williams. On April 14th, 1947, Jackie Robinson made his Major League debut for the Brooklyn Dodgers. He also broke the league's color barrier. He also made history stealing home to be the first one safe for stealing home. On 1903, the first World Series unfolded. The first two teams in the World Series were Boston Red Sox and Pittsburgh Pirates. On May 28, 1957, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants were the first moved to on May 28, 1957, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants moved to California. Also, these were the first two teams to move across the Mississippi. On December 7, 1941, when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, most of the American and National League players went to go fight in the war. As TV began to be more popular, it attracted tons of fans to watch the games. Here's my video of what is the history of Major League Baseball.
Since the early 1800s, baseball has evolved from a pastoral recreation into the multi-billion-dollar American institution as we know it today. The game's winding path, from barnyards and battlefields to 50,000-seat metropolitan stadiums, has seen many pivotal crossroads. During baseball's early evolution, these most critical junctures saw the rise of certain bold men whose foresight, courage, and ambition have guided the game, restored its sometimes tarnished glory, and reset its course to achieve unfathomable levels of growth and prosperity throughout America and across the globe.
I hope you enjoyed my presentation of what is the history of Major League Baseball.
Hi, my name is Hayden, and my driving question for my project is, what is the USS Lexington and its history? I became interested in this topic when I got to go to the USS Lexington with my Boy Scout troop back in February. I learned so much about the ship that I wanted to share it all with you. There were 7 USS Lexingtons, but I'm going to tell you about the CB-16 Lexington that is currently in Corpus Christi, Texas. The ship was commissioned in 1943 and is an SX-class carrier. The U.S. Lex set more records than any SX-class carrier in the history of Navy aviation. The ship was the oldest working carrier in the United States Navy when it was decommissioned in 1991. The Lexington was originally named as USS Cabot when the final construction was being completed during World War II. Word was received that the original carrier named the USS Lexington CB-2 had sunk in the Colosseum. After that, the CB-16 name was changed from Cabot to Lexington. The new Lexington joined the 5th Fleet at Pearl Harbor on April 26, 1944. During World War II, the USS Lexington participated in every major operation in the Pacific. And for 21 months of combat, planes destroyed 372 enemy aircraft in the air and 475 more on the ground. She sank and destroyed tons of enemy cargo. The ship gun shot down 15 more planes. The Japanese reported sinking the Lexington 4 times, giving its the name Ghost. Back in February, when I visited the USS Lexington, we heard a lot about the ship while we were there. We actually spent the night on the ship. It was so so cool. We were able to explore a lot of the ship. It was so cool. The coolest part was the flight deck. That thing was huge. They had a variety of jets and airplanes on the flight deck. And it was really, the ship's walkway was pretty tiny since it was decommissioned in 1991. We were not able to go on every level of the ship because they flooded the bottom 2 decks to stabilize the ship. We slept in the junior officer's quarters. This is a great place to visit. And then up there, yeah, it's an aircraft carrier. There's a museum in Corpus Christi you can sleep on, and it was struck by a torpedo on November the 13th. That's a video of people finding it underwater.
Right there, Lexington.
Where?
Right there.
I can't see where you're pointing.
LEX.
Oh yeah, stamped into the steelwork.
If there was ever any question.
Hi, I'm Bianca.
Hi, I'm Grace.
And our driving question was, what are the top 4 rarest diseases? We did this because we thought it would be interesting to study these diseases. The first disease is Harlequin type ichthyosis. Harlequin type ichthyosis is a very severe genetic disorder that mainly affects the skin. These skin abnormalities affect the shape of the eyelids, nose, mouth, and ear. The baby develops red stripes along the body along with blood red eyes. The thick plate-like skin of Harlequin type will gradually split and peel over several weeks. Antibiotic treatment may be necessary to prevent infection at this time. There is no cure for the disorder, but it can be managed with treatment. In the past, the disease was considered fatal. Harlequin occurs approximately 10% in healthy newborns. It is seen usually between 2 and 5 days of birth.
The second disease is fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. It is where the muscles, tendons, and ligaments, when damaged, turn to pure bone. There is no effective cure for fibrodysplasia. Surgery is not an option for removing the excess bone. This may interfere with eating and speaking if they aren't able to open their mouth fully. They may also have trouble breathing because of all the extra bone around the rib cage. The slightest fall and injury may result in massive swelling and pain.
The third one is Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. Hutchinson-Gilford progeria is a rare fatal disorder in which young children show signs of old age. There is no known cure, and usually they don't live longer than the age of 13. Progeria occurs randomly and isn't inherited. Symptoms such as hair loss and slow growth occur within the first or second year of life. There is no cure for progeria, but medicines can be taken to help. Heart problems or strokes are the main causes of death in kids with progeria. People with progeria may live up to 13 to 20 years, but they may pass away before that.
Ectopia cordis is a condition babies are born with their hearts outside of their bodies. Most cases of ectopia cordis result in death shortly after birth. Ectopia cordis is caused by a rupture in the sac in the early development.
I'm just thinking about the day. Just thankful for another day, I guess. Ellie has a rare aging disorder called progeria. There's days where she goes, I wish I had hair, I wish I looked like everybody else. But then she goes and says, who needs hair anyways? I have a bunch of wigs.
I like to do makeup, I like to play Barbies, I like to play on my phone, I definitely like to watch videos. I like to play with my brothers. Sometimes they get a little grumpy, so I guess not. But I basically like everything. Unicorns are my favorite. Because they're pretty, sparkly, pink.
That concludes our presentation. Hi, my name is Brandon. My driving question is how to become a game warden. First, I'm going to tell you what a game warden is. They are Confederate peace officers who must often work at a state or federal level. These law enforcement and wildlife conservation professionals, who may also be called conservation officers, game or deer, turkey, hog protectors, wildlife control agents, wildlife officers, and fish and game wardens, among other titles. Dedicate their lives to the conservation and management of wildlife and to enforcing related laws. Their salary depending on what rank they are. First three ranks are game warden, sergeant, and lieutenant. They all have a minimum yearly salary of $49,581 and a maximum salary of $68,688. The fourth rank is a captain. Their minimum yearly salary is $83,574. Maximum is $91,017. The highest ranking is a major. The minimum yearly salary is $102,357. Maximum is $103,014. The main types of game warden jobs are wildlife management, public service, law enforcement, and special missions. Now I will show you a video of something a game warden has to do on the job. At the beginning of the video, game warden has found 2 bucks wrapped around a pole. He has having to cut them loose.
Okay, I'm gonna crawl up on my hood so I don't get gored. All right, little dear, I'm here to help you. I see that. Come on, guys, help me out.
.109 seconds. Dry fire weapon test. Be able to tread water for 30 seconds, then swim 100 meters no more than 5 minutes. Candidates who have succeeded in distinguishing themselves throughout applications process will scheduled to complete the 30-week Texas Game Warden Training Academy. Now I need 3 volunteers to try the push-ups and 3 volunteers to try the sit-ups part of the physical readiness test. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Who and where did I come from? Hi, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Christiana. I did my passion project on genealogy. A simple definition of genealogy is a line of descendants traced continuously from an ancestor. I want to not only find my own ancestry, but to also help others find their genealogy. For some people, genealogy is fun and relaxing hobby. For others, genealogy is more like a tough puzzle they must figure out, or sometimes even a burden. What it is for you will be determined by how you feel when you start to find your ancestors. The video you're about to watch is an interview of people who have enjoyed genealogy.
For me, it's filled my life. I mean, it's giving me something that has become an obsession on my part, and that I'm really interested in my family now.
I think it's really interesting to think that all of these people that came before me somehow did something that made me who I am today and where I am today.
I actually wanted to know what caused each one of my ancestors to come to America, because they're coming from all over, what brought them. And I had found almost everybody but this family named Owens. In the meantime, my father is moving from one house to another house, and he's getting down boxes out of a garage. And as he gets them down, he finds an old law book that he had from Georgetown University. And when he opened it up, inside was a letter from his mother, who had been dead for many, many years. And inside the letter was all the information that I needed about the Owens family. And for me, wow.
So, if you would like to get started on doing your own genealogy, you can go to myheritage.com. To start an account, some things you may need to know to begin is the difference between a surname and a given name. A surname means your last name, and a given name means your first name. If you would like to get some help in person, there's also a family history center only about 10 minutes from here. I have posted more information about the center on my poster. The volunteers who work there can help you find your ancestors. You can also see online scanned copies of actual vital records like birth certificates, ship passenger logs, marriage certificates, and many, many other cool historical records, all completely free. The easiest way to start your genealogy is with a simple family tree chart. I have made one for each of you that you can do at home with your parents. Whether in person or online, I really hope that each of you will learn more about your own genealogy and perhaps become as passionate about it as I have. And that concludes my presentation.
Hello, my name is Gabriel, and my Genius Hour topic is what is the top 5 guns used in World War II, and what can I learn about the other guns. Yeah. I was interested in this topic because I'm very interested in guns. One of the most popular handguns was the Colt 1911. The U.S. used the Springfield M1903A4 and was used in 4 different wars: the Korean War, World War II, World War I, and the Vietnam War. Semi-automatic and pump shotguns were used in World War II. Zatsa was one of the famous snipers that was in World War II, and achieved at least 225 kills, and is one of Stalingrad's most famous snipers. Today's Stalingrad is called Volgograd. An Austrian sniper named Hetzemera has the longest kill shot of the Second World War, about 1,100 meters or 1,200 miles. The M1 Garand. The M1 Garand was a semi-automatic rifle that General George S. Patton called the greatest battle implement ever devised, and gave the U.S. a huge advantage in World War II. It could be equipped with a bayonet or even a grenade launcher. This is a video of the M1 Garand shooting. The person that made the MG34 was Henrik Vollmer. They could use a 50 to 250 round belt, or a 50 to 75 round drum magazine, like a clip to the gun with modification. That's the drum magazine. It could have an iron sight, anti-aircraft sight, or a telescopic sight on the gun. The Luger P-08 was a German handgun that was used in 15 wars, including World War II and World War I, but had limited use in the Korean War, the Algerian War, and the Vietnam War. The P-08 Luger pistol was introduced in a 7.65mm Parabellum, though it was notable the pistol for which the 9x19mm Parabellum cartridge was developed, also known as the 9x19mm Luger. That was a plastic one, not the real one. That's the Thompson submachine gun, the Stein gun, and the PPSH-41. And this concludes my presentation.
My name is Shine. My driving question is, how has cooking changed over the years? I was interested in this topic because it's kind of like a family tradition. My granny taught my mom, and my mom taught her brother, which is now a chef, and my brother is becoming a chef too. The earliest firm evidence that our own species cooking dates back just 20,000 years when the first pots were made in China. The scorch marks and soot on their outer surfaces point to their use as cooking utensils. But all in all, archaeological evidence doesn't paint a clear picture. Back when people started to cook with campfires, it was kind of a mistake. Scientists believe it started after an event like a forest fire happened and all trees got burnt down and animals got burnt in it. When early people went to scout for food after the fire, they found that burnt meat tasted better than raw meat, and people didn't get sick as much after eating it. This inspired them to start cooking raw meat directly over live fire. Since they already used it for fire for light and heat, this wasn't hard to do. Gas ovens and stoves were invented in the early 1800s. It was the first oven and stove, so there were some bugs that needed to be worked out. The main problem with the gas stove was that an explosion could be caused because of it. Because of the gas. The gas stove has to be powered by a match or striker, and having the gas turned on without it being lit could cause an explosion if not done right. Electric ovens were coming into use around the early 1900s. That's when electricity started becoming more popular, and they started making more electric appliances. They also started making the electric ovens because gas companies started losing a lot of business. This video is about like the ovens and when they came and like the problems with it.
Created using Powtoon.
So this is a cast iron pan. This is what they would use over like an open fire. So like when you go camping, you would use something like this. And you could really use this on any type of stove or oven, but like back then they would specifically use this because it can't get burnt as like fast as something like this because the handles and stuff are plastic, so it would burn easier, and the bottoms would get burnt. Learning about this topic made me want to cook even more than before because of how cooking has advanced over the years, from using campfires to stoves. Thank you for listening to my passion project. I hope you enjoyed it.
Bakers get paid $11.62 or 20 USD an hour. Not much, but a lot if I could say that. Bakers are what I really wanted to be. It's really what I wanted to be and still want to be when I grow up as a job. Bakers interested me because I like sweets, of course, and I like bread a lot and sweets. If you have your own bakery, ask if the customer wants it hard or soft, if the baked good has a choice to be hard or soft. Bakers sell pastries, of course. They work really hard to try to make the customer happy with the baked good. There are some benefits like gaining popularity, enjoying mobility, working unusual hours, and showing your creativity. How to become a baker. There is not really any sort of education need. You do have to be experienced though. Some candidates attend a technical school or culinary school to be better. Programs last 1 to 2 years in education.
learning and covering basic math, food safety, covering nutrition. To attend, you need a high school diploma or equivalent.
Have a cookie.
Have a cookie. These are chocolate chip cookies, and they are made with avocado oil and just basically from scratch.
Hi, my name is Lucas, and my driving question is what keeps football players from getting injured on the field? What made me interested is that my dad is a coach, and I've watched the players my whole life, and I've wondered what keeps them safe on the field. Like all sports, you can get hurt or injured on Friday nights. The Roughnecks we watch are wearing about $400 in protective equipment. This helmet and shoulder pads are examples of what they wear. Football is the second most dangerous sport for kids in school. The average number of injuries in a football season is 118,886 per season. The average number of concussions is 118,886 per season. The average number of concussions per season has gone down since 2017. It's required that every football team has a trainer or doctor on the sidelines during a game. Players are wearing about $400 of equipment in games. Here's a video about the history of football.
Produced the first plastic helmet. In the following few years, an attached chin strap was added to the helmet, along with an improved suspension lining that allowed for a more comfortable fit. After seeing these Riddell helmets worn by the Green Bay Packers, General George S. Patton contracted Riddell and licensed the technology. The Army was redesigning the World War I era M1917 helmet because it was uncomfortable and offered inadequate protection. So Riddell's suspension system was implemented into the M1 helmet, which were utilized by soldiers in World War II. During World War II, the demand for plastics rose overseas, and so it became scarce in America. That made the manufacturing of Riddell's plastic helmets difficult. Faulty mixes during manufacturing caused many helmets to break into pieces on contact. These were quickly banned by the NFL until the issue was eventually fixed. By 1943, helmets were made mandatory across the league. But these helmets were uniformly drab and boring, with a muted brown color that made it difficult to differentiate between the competing teams. But in 1948, Los Angeles Rams halfback Fred Gerke, an art major while in college, had the idea of painting a design directly onto the helmet. He took a helmet home with him and spent the entire night meticulously painting his own design, which consisted of gold horns on a blue helmet. Coach Bob Snyder and owner Dan Reeves loved the design and commissioned Gerke to paint the design onto the helmet of every single player at $1 apiece. At the beginning of the 1948 season, when the Rams players first emerged from the tunnels of the LA Coliseum, donning these decorated helmets, they were met with thunderous applause and a standing ovation that lasted for over 5 minutes. These helmets were offering protection for the player's head and ears, but they weren't offering any protection for the player's face. In 1955, Cleveland Browns quarterback Otto Graham took a vicious hit to the face, requiring 15 stitches across his mouth. During halftime of the game, Coach Paul Brown worked with the equipment manager to quickly come up with a makeshift device made of clear plastic that would offer protection to Graham's mouth so he could finish the game. These lucite masks helped, but they would become brittle in cold weather and would sometimes shatter on impact. Coach Paul Brown went to Riddell at the end of the 1953 season and described a revised face mask concept to their technical consultant. Give me something that will fit across the front of the helmet and will be about as big as my little finger, with tensile strength. I want it so it can withstand a stray foot, or a deliberately thrown fist or elbow, and take away the inclination to punch someone, but keep it light enough to weigh less than 1 ounce. Riddell came up with a single gray bar made of rubber and plastic, called the BT5 face mask. All Cleveland players were required to wear the bar by the coach, and other teams quickly followed suit. The single bar made its final appearance in 2007 by Cleveland punter Scott Player. Protection has always been the driving force behind helmet innovation. But as scientific data of football players continues to pour out, linking concussions to the degenerative brain disease, CTE, the need for better protection and safety is greater than ever.
This helmet has about 17 individual pads inside it, including a chin strap, a hard plastic outside, and a face mask, and cost about $220. The pads are made of fully pads and plastic shell and cost about $50 to $130 alone. And that's my presentation. Thank you for listening.
My name is Cameron, and my driving question was, how did the Megalodon went extinct and how it was the largest shark in the water? This interested me because I wanted to learn more about the biggest shark in the world. And here are my facts. The Megalodon, meaning big tooth, is an extinct species of shark that lived approximately 2.6 million years ago. The Megalodon's mouth is 10 foot wide. Mouth is it's taller than the ceiling compared to a human. It can just swallow you whole, basically. Did you know that the Megalodon is considered warm-blooded because of the heat it generates while swimming? Female Megalodons may have been twice as big than the male, because this is the gray is compared to a human, so if it was a female, it would have been like right there to right there. The Megalodon is 3 times as big than any other creature in the world. The Megalodon would eat large fish and crunchy turtles. It would eat dolphins, and it would eat crunchy turtles. But if it was really hungry, it would eat humpback whales and other sharks. Did you know that the Megalodon had a bite between 108,514 and 182,201 newtons? There is still no evidence that the Megalodon is still alive. The Megalodon weighs over 60 tons. The Megalodon was the largest predator that ever lived. The Megalodon's tooth measured up to 7 inches. Tooth is right here. Did you know that the Megalodon ate whales for breakfast? The Megalodon had about 276 teeth and 5 rows in its mouth. The Megalodon is not related to the great white shark. The Megalodon had the most powerful bite of any animal on the planet. Did you know that the Megalodon liked to bite the fins off its prey when it was hunting them? And that concludes my presentation. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Ethan, and I'm studying the facts and history about the Red River. What drove me to this was because my grandpa lives in Louisiana beside the Red River, and we like to hang out over there. Here are some facts about the Red River. The Red River flows through the border of Texas and Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. The Red River is red because it carries the clay in the flood season, in the spring, and fall because of all the rain. The Red River has 2 mouths, called the Mississippi River and the Atchafalaya River. The sources of the Red River are the Prairie Dog Fork Red River and Buck Creek located in Pushamateo Country, Oklahoma. The Red River is the largest basin river in the southern Great Plains. And now the history of the Red River. In the early 19th century, settlers found that much of the Red River's length in Louisiana was unnavigable because of the collection of fallen trees that formed a great raft or logjam over 160 miles long. Captain Henry Miller Sheriff began clearing the logjam in 1939. The log jam was not cleared until the 1870s when dynamite was available. From the early 1700s, Spain debated the Red River as a boundary separating New Spain and New France. Later, by the Adams-Orange Treaty of 1819, the Red River became the southern border of the Louisiana Purchase.
Don't ever underestimate the Red River. You can't tell what it's going to do. You can't predict what Red River's going to do. Whatever the Lord decides to do with it's what it's going to do.
Along the northern edge of Texas, there is a force which constantly redefines the state's boundary. We'll travel down this river to see how it has shaped the land, the towns, and people's lives along the way. The Red River develops from a collection of small creeks at the eastern edge of New Mexico. The creeks gather in the canyonlands of the Texas Panhandle. It is here that the Prairie Dog Town fork of the Red River begins. In Palo Duro Canyon, melting snow and rainfall carry sediment to the river, adding natural salts and red clay particles to the water. Tributaries like the Little Red, which runs out of Caprock Canyons, also support the Prairie Dog Town fork. But here, dry spells can turn the riverbed white from gypsum and other mineral deposits found in the water. At the Hardeman County line, the Prairie Dog Town fork takes the sole name of Red River and separates Texas from Oklahoma. Our journey down the Red begins in Quanah. For drives heading north, Red River Station was their last chance for supplies before reaching Abilene, Kansas. When the river was up, some cattle drives would camp here for several days, waiting for...
All right, that concludes my presentation. Hi, my name is Brady. I'm here to talk about some of the deadliest tornadoes in history. Tornadoes are funnels that spin rapidly with a mighty force. They have a scale ranging from how much damage they do, and it goes from 1 to 5. The 1 just knocks down trees, and 5 can pull whole houses from its foundations. Twisters are like tornadoes, but are born in thunderstorms and get help with hail and giant thunderstorms which produce them. They might look smaller and than some tornadoes, but do a whole lot more damage than regular tornadoes. And then there's something called the Tornado Alley. It's in the east, and it's located at South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, northern Texas, and eastern Colorado. That's where the strongest supercells are formed. Supercells are massive thunderstorms that can make strong twisters. The strongest tornado ever recorded was in El Reno, Oklahoma, on May 31st, 2013. It killed about 18 people, including 4 storm chasers. One of the deadliest tornadoes is the Tri-State tornado. It happened on March 18, 1925. It had a combined death toll of 747 across the Mississippi River Valley. The second strongest tornado was the Natchez tornado, which had the death toll of 317, but the whole toll might have not been reported because they probably did not count slaves in the toll. Third on our list is the St. Louis tornado, which killed about 255 people, with winds up to 217 miles per hour and 260 miles per hour. The fourth tornado is the Tupelo tornado, which killed about 216 people, and again in Mississippi. The last on our list is the Gainesville tornado, which was a pair of storms that converged on April 6, 1936 and killed about 203 people, but injuring 1,600. A company called the NSSL made a movie called Twister, made in the mid-1980s, which was about some tornado archaeologists, and they tried to put a gallon of meteorological sensors. Although the movie was fake, the NSSL tried doing it in real life, but it did not work. Maybe someday in the future, someone will come up with a way to do it and save lives.
and that's the Joplin tornado. It was on Sunday, May 22nd, 2011. It was an EF5. Multiple vortex tornadoes struck Joplin, Missouri late in the afternoon. And that's some tornadoes. Now I'm going to show you a video from TED Talks of how a tornado forms.
These are the kinds of storms that breed tornadoes, but only if there are also very specific conditions in place, clues that we can measure and look out for when we're trying to forecast a storm. Rising air is the first ingredient needed for a tornado to develop. Any storm is formed when condensation occurs. The byproducts are the clouds. Condensation releases heat, and heat becomes the energy that drives huge upward drafts of air. The more condensation and the bigger the storm clouds grow, the more powerful those updrafts become. In supercells, this rising air mass is particularly strong. As the air climbs, it can change direction and start to move more quickly. Finally, at the storm's base, if there is a lot of moisture, a huge cloud base develops, giving the tornado something to feed off later if it gets that far. When all these things are in place, a vortex can develop enclosed by the storm and forming a wide, tall tube of spinning air that then gets pulled upwards. We call this a mesocyclone. Outside, cool, dry, sinking air starts to wrap around the back of this mesocyclone, forming what's known as a rear flank downdraft. This unusual scenario creates a stark temperature difference between the air inside the mesocyclone and the air outside.
And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brady. My driving question is, why are tornadoes so destructive? The reason I became interested in this topic was because I wanted to learn more about tornadoes. Tornadoes are formed when fast-moving streams of warm, moist air go north from the Gulf of Mexico. Tornadoes form from storms called supercells. The majorities of fatalities from a tornado are due to flying debris that hit or impales you. On rare occasions, a tornado can pick you up off the ground, after which the fall will kill you if you're not hit by something else. If you can find a tornado shelter nearby, head there immediately. Tornadoes can last from several seconds to more than an hour. Tornadoes usually last for less than 10 minutes. If you're in the right place, you get a strong odor of fresh cut grass, or if the tornado has destroyed a house, you get a strong odor of natural gas. The U.S. is a hotspot for tornadoes, around 1,000 tornadoes a year. Every U.S. state has experienced tornadoes, but Texas holds the record. An average of 132 tornadoes touch Texas soil each year. Around 3/4 of the world's tornadoes occur in the United States. Every year in the United States, tornadoes do about $400 million in damage and cause around 70 deaths on average. The greatest number of tornadoes in Texas in a single year is 232 in 1967. Extremely high winds tear homes and businesses apart. Winds can also destroy bridges, flip trains, send cars and trucks flying, tear the bark off of trees, and suck all the water from a riverbed. The most tornadoes in Texas occur in the Red River Valley in North Texas. Most tornadoes have wind speeds less than 110 miles per hour and are about 250 feet wide and travel a few miles before dissipating. And now you may watch my video about classifying tornadoes.
So, back in the 1970s, this guy named Fujita came out with a scale.
Man, I have this great scale.
Called the Fujita scale. And it's been adopted worldwide, so that's what everybody uses nowadays. That scale classifies tornadoes from an F0 all the way up to an F5. The Fujita scale is a determinant of what damage is actually caused, and that correlates to the wind speed. But wind speed isn't actually what determines the Fujita scale, it's damage. So let's go through from an F0 to an F5 and see what damage is actually occurring at each individual type of tornado along that scale. First, the F0. Some damage to chimneys, it breaks off branches of trees, pushes over shallow-rooted trees. On F1 tornado, it kills the surface off of roofs. Mobile homes are pushed off their foundations and overturned. Moving automobiles are pushed off the roads. Now an F2 tornado is a significant tornado. Roofs are torn off of framed houses, mobile homes are demolished. Box cars can be pushed over, large trees are snapped or uprooted. Now an F3 tornado is a severe tornado. The roof and some walls are torn off of well-constructed houses, trains are overturned, and most trees in the forest are uprooted. Now an F4 tornado is a devastating tornado. Well-constructed houses are absolutely leveled. Cars are thrown and large missiles are generated. Now an F5 is an incredible tornado. They're also not all that common. Really strong framed houses are lifted off of their foundation, carried considerable distances, and then they disintegrate. Automobile-sized missiles fly through the air in excess of 100 meters. Trees are debarked. Now the tornado in Joplin, Missouri was an F5. 160 people died, which is a lot of people. Mr. Fujita actually put in one more onto the scale, an F6. Now an F6 is actually called an inconceivable tornado because of the wind speeds are so high that it'll probably never happen. I can't even think of the damage that would happen from an F6 tornado. But we've never had one, so we don't know.
Hello, I'm Lillian, and my guiding question was, what does it take to become a zoologist? I was interested in this topic because I've always loved animals, and one day I want to become a zoologist. I hope to become a zoologist one day. Please enjoy. Before I get started on my presentation, please enjoy this video of a man who decided to become a zoologist because of his love of animals.
Hi, I'm Gary Wilson at America's Teaching Zoo at Moorpark College, and I'm a zoologist. I became a zoologist because I was fascinated by animals. I always wanted to work with animals, and I learned that there's more ways than just being a veterinarian to work with animals. I actually took a path of working with animals hands-on. I wanted to train animals, and so I learned how to train dolphins, and I did that for the Navy. And then I went back to school because I wanted to learn more about animals. And I did research on birds. I was interested in the behavior of birds, and this is something that zoologists do, is look at the behavior of animals and how the animals live in their environment. What are the things that they do that have adapted them to be successful in the environment they live in?
First, you must go to college and earn a bachelor's degree in zoology. Second, you're going to need experience, so you're going to get a job with that bachelor's degree. Third, go back to college and study for a graduate degree in zoology. Fourth, you're done. What next? Congratulations, now you're officially a zoologist. What next, you may ask? Of course, getting employment as a zoologist may be difficult, but once you do, you'll be glad for all your hard work. You get to help animals, be a guide on tours and hikes, and research on animals to learn more. Yes, you do have to do the dirty work like cleaning equipment and any cages or exhibits. Before you doubt yourself in any way, let's talk about what it really means to become a zoologist. What even is a zoologist? A zoologist is a scientist in the field of zoology. Zoology is the study of animals and their behavior. Zoologists study animals in their natural habitats and in captivity. There are different jobs opportunities if you're a zoologist. Zoologists study the origin of many animals. What do I think? If I ever became a zoologist, then I would want to be a wildlife rehabilitator. Looking for the ill, injured, and orphaned animals sounds like a great job to me. I would have a second job if I was a zoologist. Let's be real, they don't get paid very much. All the dirty work sounds exhausting, but I feel as if it would be worth it. Overall, I would love to become a zoologist. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Carly, and my driving question was, can I teach the class about zodiac signs and where they came from? I will be teaching you about the signs Aries, Cancer, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Scorpio. Then I'll finish it off with zodiac elements in the order that they come in. Number 1, Aries. Aries is a symbol of the ram. That can be a good thing and a bad thing at certain times. Energetic Aries can be tempted to ram their ideas down everyone's throat without even wondering if they want to know in the first place. Their special traits are energy and initiative. Their ruling planet is Mars. Their zodiac element is fire. Number 2, Cancer. Cancer's symbol is the crab, which is associated with the sign Cancer. It got its name as the lunar constellation of a crab and got its name as Cancer. It is also Latin for crab. Cancer's special traits are intuition and sympathy. Their ruling planet is Mars, and their zodiac element is water. Sagittarius. The symbol of Sagittarius is the centaur, a mythical creature, half human, half horse. However, perhaps to the Greek adoption of the Sumerian constellation, some confusion surrounds the identity of the archer. Their special traits are confident and open-minded, and their ruling planet is Pisces. And air contains signs such as Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, and then Earth has signs as Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Now here are all the signs in order. Aries is March 21st to April 19th. Taurus is April. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.
Hi, my name is Clay.
And my name is Presley.
Our driving question is, what does it take to become a Navy SEAL? This interests us because we both have had a family member in the military. We are going to talk about different topics such as work environments, combat objectives, qualifications, requirements, and the worst week of training, Hell Week. The first thing we are going to talk about is the work environments. There are about 6 environments such as deserts, urban areas, mountains, woodlands, jungles, and Arctic conditions. The second thing we're going to talk to you about is their combat objectives. This is important because combat objectives are a huge part of transportation, and most, if not all, missions include, such as parachutes, submarine, helicopter, high-speed boat, or field patrol.
The next thing is qualifications. It's a big part of getting to be a Navy SEAL. If you don't have to have you do not have to have a college degree, but you have to have the kind of mental and physical fortitude that few possesses. The fourth thing is requirements. Your eyesight has to be 20/20 vision. You have to be 17 to 28 years old, and you have to pass a physical examination. The last thing we are going to talk about is Hell Week, also known as the Navy's Basic Underwater Demolition Course. They have to do a 25-week training. They do 500-yard swim, 50 push-ups and pull-ups in 2 minutes, and a 1.5-mile run. They also make guns that don't rust or ruin underwater because of the material. They are made from alloy, which is resistant to salt water. Alloy is metals that are resistant. Now on to our video.
This video shows motivations Navy SEALs have to have.
Do you have the courage to start? Do you have the commitment to finish? And you have the clarity of vision. See exactly what you've got to get done. You're going to stick it out no matter what. And this great quote that I got was, a man can only be beaten in 2 ways. If he gives up or he dies. And that was the level of commitment I had.
Every single day you wake up, you have a choice. You can either be negative or positive. Which one do you think is going to enhance your life? Duh.
Hi, my name is Gavin, and my Genius Hour topic is over the evolution of military tanks. My interest in military tanks is because I really like big and heavy armored vehicles, and this is my slideshow. 1915. The first tank was the Little Willie, which was built on an unsuspended track frame and was fitted with a non-rotatable dummy turret with machine gun mount. It was 8 meters long, required 2 men to drive it, one for steering, clutch, gearbox, and throttle operation, another for brakes, and four to operate. It was protected by boiler plates, and it could travel no faster than 2 miles per hour. An improved prototype known as the Big Willie and later Mother used a rhomboid track frame which could move right around vehicles. The turret was replaced with weapons placed inside spawn zones. Neither prototype saw combat but were unavailable in the development of the technology that would reach the battlefield the next following year. 1916. Mother formed the design for the first tank to engage in battle with British Mark I. This vehicle entered service in August 1916 in 2 ways, male armed with 2 6-pounder guns and 3 8mm Hotchkiss machine guns and weighing in at 28 tons, and female with 4 .303 Vickers machine guns and a single Hotchkiss weighing in at 27 tons. Enough tanks were ordered by Foster's and Metropolitan to raise 6 tank companies of 25 vehicles each. Due to unavailability of these 6-pounder guns, half were equipped with only machine guns. Each vehicle carried a crew of 8. 19 step toward the next phase of tanks. It remains the main battle tank in service with the British Army to date and will remain so until 2035. 1990. The next generation M1A2 can fire a variety of different rounds against armored vehicles and low-flying aircraft with a heavy interior armor that provides advanced protection to crew. The U.S. Army has developed a camouflage system. The future. They're working on a new tank that will become the type of machine to save lives and take down anything that is needed. It will be a life-changing tank. And that concludes my presentation.